Morning and welcome to Race Industry Now, the weekly webinar series from EPARTRADE, presented to you by ARP, Performance Plus Global Logistics, Peak, ShopMonkey, and Fifth Third Bank Motorsports. I am Francisco Savignan, the founder and CEO of EPARTRADE, the global platform for the performance and racing industry. This is episode 349, and with me this morning are Judy Keane, the co-founder of EPARTRADE, and our superstar host, Mr. Jeff Hammond. Judy?
Thank you, Francis. Again, I'm excited to have MyRacePass on today. They've been my PRI exhibitor when I was at PRI 4 years, and it's fun to see them evolve throughout the years. And they offer so many services that we don't even know about. So I'm excited for them because they really focus on the foundation of motorsports. They deal with the grassroots racers and teams. They deal with race promoters and the fans and the suppliers, which we're going to be focusing on today. So today's going to be exciting to hear about what they offer in this new company that they've helped along. Jeff, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, we lost Jeff. So again, my apologies. We will have ShopMonkey on in 2 weeks. But today we're going to be talking with MyRacePass. We have Jim on. We have his 2 guests. Jeff is back with us. So thank you very much, Jeff.
Hey. I love it when you have this moment, you know what I'm saying? And everything's good. And all of a sudden it goes blink, blink, and nobody's there.
The new world.
New world. Well, good morning, everybody. Hi, Jim.
Morning, Jeff.
Good to see you. Get a picture together. But folks, I'm excited about today's webinar, because I think that we're going to learn a lot about what the future of the racing business across this land and maybe around the world. And Jim, like I said, we were talking earlier today. I want you to introduce the rest of your group, and let's get this ball rolling.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Thanks, Jeff. Well, I just want to say thanks to EPARTRADE and to you for hosting us, and for Lynn and Chad Harrington from MatMan Designs for joining us to help talk about what we do and talk about what they do this morning. So just really appreciative for everybody's time. In terms of what we do a lot. So where do you want to start?
I like to say, I'd like to kind of go back to the beginning and kind of bring people ahead on what you based your overall company on. And we can then talk about the things that you've added since the last time we got a chance to maybe get caught up, and sure, so we can better understand how much bigger it has gotten. I mean, like I said, you and I were talking earlier, and to me, it's kind of unbelievable. It's a little bit overwhelming how fast you guys have grown. You've done an excellent job. And I think there's a lot of people out there today who will be shocked of what you folks can do for them.
Sure. Well, so if we were having this conversation several years ago, you would have been having it with our 3 co-founders, Zach Kelmis, Ross Van Eck, and Josh Holt. And we would have been talking about a company called Driver Websites, which is fairly self-explanatory, right? We started building websites for race car drivers, for grassroots drivers. And then that sort of evolved over the years into us building websites for racetracks and series, and for businesses such as MatMan. So we've been doing that for 15, 16 years, and have built hundreds of driver websites, track and series websites, and business websites. And then that eventually evolved into, through our dev capabilities, creating a race management system for the promoters at the racetracks to use. So our system allows the drivers to register digitally. We can calculate points and payouts for them, provide digital presentation of results and timing and other things that basically help the track more efficiently run the race night part of it, so that they can be more focused on the fan experience as far as concession stands and getting people in and out and things like that, as opposed to worrying about some of the more business sided end of the operations. So we did that for several years, and then a few years ago we realized we have all this data that we're collecting through the race management system. So let's face that data towards the fans. So we created the MyRacePass app, which is used by 1 million users a month. And through that, fans are able to see what's going on at hundreds of racetracks across the country. They can view live timing and results. They can play fantasy racing. They can buy tickets. There's a whole lot that we do through the app. That's more about the entertainment side of it and the fan side of it, right? The reality of it is, let's say for the unfortunate time that there's a caution flag at a circle track or an oil down at a drag strip, folks can get on their phones if they're sitting in the stands and go to Instagram or go to Facebook or do a bunch of other things, or they can stay engaged with the track content. And the app allows the track to provide content for the fans to stay engaged with, in between, heats, in between rounds, during race day. So that part of it was really exciting. And then we realized a few years ago, we partnered with another company in the industry that we've known for a long time, and we created the marketing portion of what we do, right? We have hundreds of tracks and series that we work with. So what can we do using our experience and knowledge to help racing businesses reach a target audience, whether it's helping the race parts manufacturers reach the drivers, whether it's helping consumer goods companies reach the fans. The reality of it is we have the audience of hundreds of racetracks available. So what can we do to help those tracks earn some extra revenue? So we created the MyRacePass digital ads company, which is a marketing branch of the company. So we do a little bit of all of the above. And as we'll be able to talk about with Lynn and Matt, they work with us in a few different aspects. So we're just really excited to be able to tell everybody about all of these things we do and more.
As I said earlier today, when you and I were talking, it's got a pretty big wow factor. And Lynn, let's get your thoughts on this, because again, being a co-founder and one of the brains behind all of this, I mean, that in itself has got to be somewhat daunting, because when you think about all of what racing has to do as far as business and marketing and branding, I mean, it's almost endless. It really is.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. We were very fortunate to have partnered with MyRacePass. They set up our website and we got that going. We've only been in business since the beginning of the year, and we hooked up with MyRacePass because Chad actually uses MyRacePass, the app, as a local race fan to keep up with everything. And in talking with Ben and his team about developing the website, I said, hey, do you guys do any kind of marketing stuff? And he's like, oh yeah, I got this guy, Jim, need to hook you up with him. And one of the best things we ever did. So it's just been a great experience overall, and taking advantage of their huge base of clients and the tracks and the racers and everything, and being able to market to those folks through Jim and his team. It's been wonderful. And we've even started to see, it's only been a couple months since we've actually been doing the marketing with them, and we've already started to see returns on that. So I think it's a great platform, and I think it's a great team to work with for marketing. So definitely kudos to the team. Love it. Can see benefits for suppliers, racetracks, and everyone.
So Chad, let's hear from your side of it. And because again, I guess, being the more of the racer that saw this and recognized it, I mean, what drove you in this direction, and are you satisfied where you are right now?
I'm very satisfied. I mean, I've known Ben since I actually flagged the first ever cotton picking 100 at Magnolia Motor Speedway. So, it goes back in time. You make somebody that's a racer, and you got racing family for life. So at any point in time, you can call these people, and they support you in ways that you would never ever think that would be possible when you think about it. So I called Ben after doing an interview with him for my son's podcast. And we threw him up on YouTube for 10 crazy questions. And that's how we got started looking into more of the how can the possibility be of how you can help me with all the websites that you've actually done in the past. And he said, well, we don't have anything that we've really done for a business in your situation. So we can do our darndest and we can go from there and hook you up with everything we need that we think you might need, especially since you're racer focused and putting these mats inside the haulers and outside the haulers and in the shop.
Well, you know, as I said earlier, when Jim and I were talking, having been in racing for quite a while and understanding how social media and branding and marketing, merchandising it drives this industry across the board. And as we were, you know, breaking it down, and I think you folks will back me up on this, the bad thing about it is there's a lot of people who have the want to, but they don't have the knowledge to.
Right.
They wind up spending a lot of money that they don't need, and they go down different rabbit holes they shouldn't have gone down. Am I right?
I think that's right. Yeah. I think that's why I'm so happy we partnered with Jim and the team. I knew we needed to do something with a website and make it look good. I knew we needed to get our name out there, but didn't know exactly how to do it. You know you've got to do it. You just don't know the details of how to do it. And that's where Jim has come into play and been a huge asset to us. I mean, he emails us here and there and goes, hey, here's an opportunity I think you should look into, you know, maybe putting your mats out there. Maybe that's an industry you should get, you know, into, like even trying to talk my husband into going golfing a little more, but we won't talk about that.
Anything in self-defense there?
Well, I mean, me and Jim, we'll probably end up playing golf at some point in time when we're at a racetrack close enough by together at some point. But there's a lot of things outside of racing, and even though that my race pass is more geared toward the racers, how many people are owning their own business? How many of these people, you know, they sponsor a lot of these cars? You'd be surprised at how many replies that I have gotten saying that, hey, I'm sponsoring this guy. I want to put mats in his truck. And that's one of those ways that happens. And he said, I saw your ad on I got one guy that said, I saw your ad on one of the Wasota race pages up there on one of their racetracks. And he called me completely out of the blue and said, I want to put mats in my driver's truck. So I think it works good, but the next thing you know, I've got a guy calling me that owns his own Goodyear store because he sponsors somebody else too. Same thing.
Well, one of the things that Jim and I had talked about too was, you know, the ability to represent the drivers. I think that I found this fascinating, because if I'm a driver and I'm sitting here, I'm listening to y'all talk, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, they've gone to a racetrack and they've cherry picked the hot shoes that they want, and I'm not going to get any attention from you. Can y'all make me feel better about doing something with you and making sure that I'm going to get an opportunity to get my branding out there, to get my story out there? Because let's face it, for every driver that's, especially young driver, even guys that are maybe middle age, you always have that aspiration. Can I get to another level? Can I get maybe from my series of dirt tracks or local short tracks, can I make it to a higher level? And how do I get found? And how do I make a sponsor want to spend money with me?
Sure.
Correctly?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely something that, you know, our goal in all of this is to be a resource for every end of racing, right? It's to be a resource for the drivers, for the sponsors, for the tracks, the series, and the fans. So when it comes to race sponsorship, I think, you know, once upon a time, it was pretty simple. You know, a sponsor had their logo on the, you know, on the car. and the fans in the stands. And hopefully if it was a high enough series, fans on TV would see the logo and maybe try to learn a little bit more about that company. And we know race fans are very loyal to the sponsors, right? They buy products from sponsors. They follow the chain that way. So in the current world, the buzz from all the sponsors is, well, what do I get for ROI? How do I know that sticker on the car is getting me anything? And one of the things that we can do for those drivers is build out a measurable program, sponsorship program that helps them be able to offer more value to their sponsors. So they can say, not only am I going to do 22 races this season, and that'll mean, potentially in front of however many, thousands of fans that is sitting in the stands, but we can help place that sponsor's product or service in front of the audience at over 700 other racetracks and allow for there to be trackable, measurable promotion for that sponsor. And if the driver is the one that brings that value to the table, it makes the driver that much more valuable as an ambassador to the sponsor. And then, part of that can be a product like what Lynn and Chad have, where as people are walking through the pits, the sponsors can have their logos on their mats outside of the hauler and really get a chance to start to drive the branding home in a number of different ways. And that's one of the things that's really exciting about how we partner with companies across the industry, is we find multiple opportunities to be able to present, in a bunch of different ways. And the really cool thing from the track and series point of view, not only are we talking about more ROI for that driver, for the sponsors, but if we work with the driver to help place those sponsor programs in front of all those tracks, the tracks receive revenue from that as well, right? Because the sponsor is paying for that additional promotion. And then we return a very sizable portion of that net revenue back to the tracks so that they get a chance to maybe put a little bit more money in the winner's purse, or spruce up the concession stands, or hire somebody else to work the ticket booth to help get people into the stands faster. So we really want to just kind of keep that loop going, where we're helping everybody, all at the same time.
And I don't think they have to worry if they're worried about being small. I mean, like I said, we're a startup. We're 6 months in. Our budget is small, and Jim has been great working with us. Hey, what's your budget? Okay, this is what we can do, and really guiding us to maximize our dollars for our ROI, so that we're getting that money back. So I think he'll do that for everybody. I mean, they're great with doing that and helping you, through all what you need to know and directing you, so you feel comfortable. So if you're out there and you feel like, oh, well, I don't have a lot of money, I don't think you have to have a lot of money. You just got to be very strategic with that money. And Jim and his team can definitely help you do that.
Well, see, that's what I'm hearing right now, and to me, it sounds encouraging. I don't know of anybody that's really that's in the short track world, dirt or asphalt, that is running around with an overabundance of money. They used to, most everybody is, just getting from week to week, or, you're fortunate enough to get a good sponsor, and, it might get you through the season if you don't have any kind of calamities. But at the same time, to be able to have an opportunity to go out, create your brand, and at the same time, once you create it, having somebody to work it with you to enhance it and make it have more value, and then have someone say, if we do it correctly, we believe we can help you get some return on your money. I mean, to me, that's the kind of encouragement, as well as the kind of long-term future you want to have with a company like yours. I mean, there's a lot of people that will take your money and say, I'm going to be your marketing person, and all they can say is, every month you'll pay me this, and I'll make phone calls. But can you actually do something that may make the track that I'm at and the people that I'm around be willing to give me something now? Not just on a dream, but the fact that I'm working for you, I'm representing the track, the series, and I would like to get people to feel the same way. I mean, when I heard the way you're putting this program together and growing it, and again, Jim, you told me like 190,000.
So part of what we do through the race management side of it is, drivers can register digitally for events, whether it's through the track or the series. And we have in our database over 195,000 drivers that have registered to race at various events across the country. And that grows every year as we add promoters, right? We, a few years ago, if we were having this conversation, it was 400 tracks, and then it was 500, and then it was 600, and now it's 750, and it just continues to grow, and we continue to do what we can to make things more efficient and manageable for the tracks. But it's funny, because one of the things I was just thinking about when we're talking about what we can do to help the drivers in addition is, the marketing stuff that we can do for them, help them with press releases, help them with their social media, advise them on how to do that. We even have a drop ship apparel program so that a driver can offer merchandise to fans to be able to buy t-shirts where they don't have to buy all the shirts up front. They don't have to try to figure out what sizes people are going to want, right? We'll take care of that for them as well. So, instead of having to try to choose one or two designs and guess at the sizes, we allow them to choose from multiple colors and hoodies and t-shirts and tanks and other things. And it all drop ships, so they don't even have to handle it, right? So while they're on the road going from one race to another, we can help them, bring in some residual income hands off.
And again, speaking from some experience with some folks that I know in the Craftsman Truck Series, it's very doable. You'll be surprised how many race fans out there know about especially if you're having a pretty successful year, or if you got personality. And that's the other thing is, you got to sell your personality sometimes while you're developing your talent. But I know that t-shirts and hats and people that think, well, you can't live off of selling a dozen t-shirts. Well, that's not just the idea of it. It's the idea of you got to have a beginning before you can have growth. And you got to put a seed in the ground and you got to grow it.
Right.
So, hopefully you're listening. And folks, if you're tuning in here today and you're part of this webinar, if you got questions for Jim and for Lynn and for Matt, please, or Chad, please ask them. Because again, they're here for you. They want to answer your questions. If you're a racetrack owner or a driver or a car owner or potential sponsor, talk to them about what they can do to help guide you and to make more out of this. Because as we were saying earlier, I believe that grassroots racing, whether it's dirt or asphalt, drag racing, it doesn't matter. It's growing. It's since the COVID deal, I think we're seeing a resurgence. I think we're seeing an interest, not only with, adults, but more so with children. I think that there's a lot of kids right now that are gravitating to motorsports, and, the better we can serve them and their needs and generate, more interest, it's going to serve the industry well because of that.
I agree. And I think that, the thing that's really become important about that is at its core, I think it's important to remember that racing is a form of entertainment, right? So the more that you can keep that in front of the fans, during the week when it's not racing, or if a guy's a fan of a series that only comes through town once a year at the track that he takes his family to, how do I know what's going on the rest of the time? How do I follow the driver that I like the most is the part of it where our app comes in really handy. Is you can favorite a series, you can favorite a track, you can favorite a driver, and you get push notifications about those things. So if there's tickets available for such and such race, or your driver is now going to be at this track, you can receive notifications sent straight to your phone about that and stay engaged all week with that content. And the content part of it is such a bigger thing now. Once upon a time there were 3 TV channels and that was it, and now everybody's got a computer in their pocket. So in that sea of noise, how do you stay in touch with your fan base? And that's a big part of what we hope to help the tracks and the series and the drivers and the fans do is stay connected, as much as possible. So, the tracks can share news, the drivers can share news. They can, present themselves in a number of new and different ways to the audience than they were able to do even a few short years ago.
Well, let's touch on you said something about the three, television networks and everything. And I spoke to you about this, as far as streaming and the types of people that you have associated with your program already, like Flow Racing, for example.
Mhm.
And you did touch on, I think you said you got approximately 400 drag strips that are now looking,
Well,
about.
Well, there's hopefully our next stage of growth will be into that, right? So our core
Right.
business has been in the circle track world, and we work with over 750 tracks, and the vast majority of those are circle tracks, largely dirt track. Though we did just bring on the NASCAR Advanced Auto Weekly Series is now working with us, so that brought a big chunk of asphalt tracks into the family in a hurry. Drag racing is sort of the next natural place for expansion for us. There's over 400 drag strips in the country, and there are plenty of fans, and drivers in that world, and tracks and series that can benefit from the technology that we've developed and what we've learned over the past 15 years in the circle track world. And and for companies like MatMan, that's also a whole new audience for them to sell their product to and to help with their businesses. So, our next big expansion is into the drag racing world. So, we just brought on, a new colleague, Amanda Wesler, who comes from the drag racing world. She's a drag racer herself. Her husband is, her son is, and her job is specifically to talk to the drag strips, the same way mine is specifically to talk to Lynn and Chad. And Lynn and Chad both referenced my colleague Ben earlier. That's Ben Shelton, who's very well known, I think, in this industry. And Ben works with businesses and drivers to help them with their websites and their marketing plans. And then we have a whole staff dedicated to working with the promoters, so working with the tracks in the series, so that everybody has a personal contact and connection with us. We have full-time support staff, so that if the promoters have questions about how to use the system at any given point, they can get training, they get direct response from people in the team whose job is specifically to support the promoters. And I think that relationship building is something that the drag strips can really use, and don't, in some cases, probably don't know they're missing. So our hope is to introduce ourselves and what we can do, and introduce our partners like MatMan to the drag racing audience next, while obviously not losing focus on the circle tracks. There's still some circle tracks out there that don't work with us, and we're doing what we can to help get ourselves in front of them as well.
Well, you also touched on the numbers thing we were discussing earlier, that you have no road courses currently at this time. And I know there's a lot of outstanding road courses out there, like VIR, down at Road Atlanta. I mean, just to name a few in our area, where there are a lot of, I'm gonna put them, weekend racers that enjoy going out and competing against one another, and they've all got the same issue that everybody does in this world. You really are looking for exposure and justification and a reason why. And it's again, your brand, your ability to make sure your sponsors do get their maximum they can. And to me, that's what I see with MyRacePass is that you guys give them that opportunity. And the MatMan design deal, I think it's fantastic. I mean, when you think about all the trailers that go up and down the road every weekend, whether they're rolling billboards on the outside, but more importantly, when they open the back door and they're going to be there for however number of hours. I mean, there is a living, breathing, almost, live, signboard and advertisement board right there, right in front of them. So I really like that concept and the way y'all are doing it.
Yeah, I know, a lot of the racers, like for us, for the mats, really like having them in the haulers, and then they have mats outside their haulers. So it's a great way to display all of their sponsors' logos. They can, some of the larger teams that we work with, they change them out. Jeremy Clements is one of our clients. And so for him, he'll put the main sponsor for that weekend's race out, behind his hauler. So he highlights them, and they can see that he's putting some effort into highlighting their logos and their sponsorship. So it's a great way to put your sponsors out there and have people see them, especially if you're in the longer trailers and everybody's like lined up, during race day. You don't really see the sides of the trailers as much, but they can see inside your hauler, and they can see, behind and see your sponsorship.
We have a question here, folks, from Billy Carroll, and he says, assume with the data you can target demographics, engine platform, etc. Also could take the data and do target maintenance promotions based on laps, passes, and etc. I think there again, Jim, I mean, it's like if you've got an idea, the way I have understood you'll come up with a format or some way to try to integrate it into something that will work for the individual.
Yes. Yeah, we can certainly target the advertising based, on the type of car running, whether it's a crate engine or, whatever it might be. We can do that. And if we can't do it yet, the thing that's great is all of our development is in-house, right? So we get to speak directly to the team and say, hey, we've got an opportunity here. What can we do to make this happen? And work together, to build it if it makes sense. And that's how a lot of our growth has happened is, actually we were just talking about this in a meeting this morning where we have a new feature in the app that multiple fans at a race just this past weekend, came up to Ben to get back to Ben and told him how great a feature it is, where in the app you can actually just find things that are happening near you. Right. So you don't have to go digging across, 750 tracks all over the country. You can just say, look, this is the area around me that I'm going to drive to. What's going on this weekend? And, and use the near me feature. So that was a feature that was suggested to us by a fan who said it would be really great if I could just find stuff that's close to me. I don't know exactly who the fan was, but maybe they live in Florida and they never go to races in California. So they didn't really want to be having to look through stuff in California to find what was going on in Florida. So we created that feature because there was a good case and a request for it. So, we can do that when it comes to the marketing. We can target it based on drag racing or asphalt racing or, what class you run in. We send actually a newsletter out. I do once a month that goes just to drivers. So it's drivers that have registered to race at events within the last 24 months. So we know they're more likely to still be active. And we place products and events and information in front of just the drivers so that we cater that content to them. And then we do another newsletter that every other Saturday morning is opened by over 100,000 people. That is sort of general racing news, what's going on in the industry, what's happening at this event, what's happening with this series, what kind of products like MatMans are now available. Before we even started the full marketing campaign for MatMan, we had done a little feature in the newsletter about their new website and how they got started and what they do, just to tell everybody out there in the industry, hey, here's a cool new business that we've partnered with. They've got a really unique product. Go check them out. So, we're doing what we can to target, a number of different ways, whether it be to the fans or to the drivers. And we can drill the data down a number of different ways.
Well, I was going to share with y'all, I have a friend of mine that named Jeff Barber that I know, and he is exactly the type of fan and businessman that you're talking about, who loves racing. Especially he's more dirt oriented, but he's still going to go to some NASCAR tracks. But he travels around the country. He lives down in Missouri and he ventures out. I mean, he's been as far west as New Mexico and back across Texas. And like I say, he knows where the big races are. But I guarantee you, if he knew about your system and everything, he would probably go to more races because now, oh, we're going to be coming back across here instead of just waiting to go to the Cup race at Bristol. You know, I can pick up a couple of races here in Tennessee or wherever before I get to Bristol. And I think that's the thing that the race fans, because really right now we're heavily, you know, looking at competitors more so than race fans. But I think race fans would definitely be all over this because, again, there's some people that once they retired, what do they want to do? They want to go to as many dirt tracks or different dirt tracks they can around the country. And Chad, I mean, talk about the overall rest of your crew. As far as I know, Jim was sharing with me that you've got 14 or 16 people that kind of work within this whole deal. But how cool is it when you're able to get together with other racers and share what you feel like racers want?
Well, I think to clarify that 14 or 16 is the MyRacePass employees. Chad, I think, and Lynn right now are a party of 2, but we're hoping through what we're doing for them that's gonna grow.
Yeah, I mean, we it's just a husband and wife scenario at this moment in time, but we do have some very good partners that we consider great friends and great ambassadors for MatMans, and they do send us business just like the ads in MyRacePass. And some of these that I'm going to mention is like Jeremy Clements and Jordan Anderson for your Xfinity. And I just started with Sam Hunt. So that's, and they will continue to start sending stuff our way. We've got quite a few in the dirt world when it comes to great people like Mark Richards Racing and that Rocket One house car. And then, we got Brandon Overton as well. He'll send me a ton of people. And you've got Brandon Shepard, who left the Rocket One to start his own deal. So we've got 3, and I'm probably sure I'm missing some more, that they basically are like an extension of MatMan because they send us business. It's like having sales guys on the road, and they're inside their haulers are basically like their meeting rooms because everything takes place in that back side of the hauler a lot of times, even when somebody's coming to present a new product for their race car and say, hey, I want you to run this. I mean, I have seen an instance where some guy out of the blue walked in there and said, oh, nice mats. Hey, I want to give you $10,000 to put my logo on your roof of the race car for the year. It's great.
It's great.
Well, and I think we think enough of the MatMan product just to that point. If you were at the Silver Dollar Nationals at Houston a couple of weeks ago, or you were just at the Knoxville Nationals and you saw our van, and our tent, you're going to find MatMan has created mats for us with our logo on it, so that as people approach the tent, they know who they're approaching, right? So, I think that's to the point of us really wanting to be partners with people. We are from the racing industry, right? We go to races. We all live and breathe this industry, so we do everything we can to to support the companies within it. And I think that when we see a product like MatMan or somebody else's, I'm good friends with Brian and Rebecca Hope that own Technocraft cabinets, and we use their rolling cabinets in our trade show displays and in our van as well. If you see the van at a race and you see the iPads on top of it, or on top of the boxes, what they are is Technocraft boxes. So we're doing everything we can to support companies within the industry, including participating with use of their product ourselves.
No, it's a wonderful program.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lynn. I'm sorry.
I said it speaks to the racing family. I mean, when you get in with folks like Jim from MyRacePass, you become part of the family, and they do everything they can to try to take care of you. And again, I speak to, it doesn't matter if you've got a teeny tiny budget or a multi-million-dollar budget, they're going to do whatever they can to help you out. All the way around 360 degrees, they're going to do whatever they can. So
Well, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is what I'm taking away from our discussion earlier before we came on, and even more so now. You have the mindset of where pennies make dollars. You start out
Absolutely.
and you look at what somebody's bringing to the table. You listen to what they need to try to further their growth in the sport, however you want to look at it. And you try to come up with something. I guess you might say you tailor make everything. Yeah, be some things may be, this is what our outline is. But what I'm hearing is a lot of, let's talk about it and let's see what kind of solution we can come up with and what kind of price tag can we work with, make
Absolutely.
each other be successful. And to
Yeah.
me, that's the one thing I've always loved about racing is racers try to take care of racers. And if you have the right kind of heart and the right kind of mindset, it makes it work that much better.
Absolutely. And I think that's part of the reason, pretty much our entire team, has a racing background is because we understand and appreciate the community and family aspect of this industry, and can't imagine working anywhere else. The team is just so well constructed and works together incredibly well. We really focus on what we can do to serve the industry and to help everybody be successful. It's a real joy to be able to see the growth of the companies we work with and to hear stories from a track that we maybe just started doing online tickets from us talk about how great it is to have some idea before race night how many people might be in the stands so that they can breathe a sigh of relief knowing that enough people are going to show up to pay the tab for the night, right? Or track staff that used to leave at 2 a.m. because they were doing all the business part of the race after the race was over, that can now leave the track at 11 o'clock at night and get home a little bit earlier. Yeah. Because of what we can do for them. So it's just really exciting to hear those stories and to be able to know that we're doing what we can to help folks out in that way.
Well, I know we're getting kind of to the end of our webinar. I'd like to know what direction, what's the next thing on the horizon that's kind of like priority for you? We discussed streaming, we discussed, the marketing idea of it. Is there anything that you're working on or your group's working on right now that we can anticipate, let's just say between now and maybe the first of next year?
The big growth definitely is going to be in continuing to enhance and improve the app so that we, things like the near me feature we just talked about, to make sure that we're making the best fan experience possible. And then bringing on staff members, on the support side. We've added staff there so that the promoters can get to us faster if they have questions, and then doing what we can to grow into the drag racing world. So, we want to make sure that that the circle track guys don't have a monopoly on what we can do, and we work to do what we can to help tracks of all kinds and drivers from every type of racing, succeed.
Well, Lynn and Chad and Jim, it's been a pleasure, and I'm going to promise you something right now. I'm going to be passing the information on to some folks that I know currently, not only at the dirt tracks, but also especially in NASCAR, that I think we could benefit from our relationship with y'all. So again, congratulations on your success so far and your continued growth, and let's see where this thing leads everybody.
Thank you
That's
very
good.
much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much, and congrats, Jim. This MyRacePass, they have been pioneer in bringing new technologies to the racing world, and we have learned from you. And so thank you very much. Please send our best to the entire team. It's a great team of people. And so this webinar has been recorded. It will be posted later on the EPARTRADE platform, distributed through our newsletters and our social media channels. We will be back next Wednesday live for a tech webinar with Delomero and Roche Yates Racing, and we're going to be talking engine bearings. In the meantime, please take advantage of the EPARTRADE platform. It's right there for you, and we have pushed RacePass offering back on the homepage. So thank you very much. Let's go racing, and we'll see you guys live next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
EPARTRADE is a digital platform that we've created basically to make life easier in the business community of auto racing.
EPARTRADE, there is no e-commerce. It's literally a connection just like at a trade show. So now, any time of the year, a buyer could reach out to a supplier.
When you see a product that you're interested in, all you need to do is click on request more information, and then from there, it is forwarded directly to the buyer or to the supplier.
EPARTRADE really eliminates having to travel, closing down your shop. Now you have a place to showcase globally your racing product and technology.
Land speed record holder George Poteet's Speed Demon rocketed 481 miles per hour at the Bonneville Salt Flats. You don't go that fast without ARP fasteners.
There is no way that we could go the speed that we've gone, the number of times we've gone, with a lesser quality bolt than ARP supplies to us. And we absolutely wouldn't be where we were today if it weren't for ARP.
When failure is not an option, it's ARP-bolts.com.
We're Performance Plus Global Logistics. Our team of dedicated performance industry and logistics experts get valuable cars and components to the track on time in top condition. We provide expedited logistics solutions for the performance industry using direct routes instead of deferred options, and communicate all necessary information to the appropriate resources to meet regulations and ensure a smooth transit and secure delivery, both domestically and internationally. And we exceed customer expectations by providing best-in-class service with an efficient and cost-effective system in place. Contact us today to book your next shipment.
You work as hard as your truck, and you have no time for downtime. That's why more truck owners trust Blue Def, America's #1 diesel exhaust fluid brand. Each batch is guaranteed pure, so you can avoid costly repairs caused by inferior DEF. Demand America's best for your truck. Blue Def and Blue Def Platinum. Put trust in your truck.
With Shop Monkey, we've been able to grow the shop by 20% in gross sales since implementing it in the shop. Everything that we were doing before has been sped up with Shop Monkey. All of our parts ordering, all of our approvals, all of our mechanics knowing what to do next. And I've had friends that are in the trade that own shops ask about Shop Monkey, and I highly recommend it just because of easy use. There's nothing like it with that kind of platform.
With roots in the Midwest that date back well before the Model T, Fifth Third Bank has a long history of serving the needs of automotive companies. While much has changed over the years, our passion for helping businesses put cars on the road and on the track has not. Today, we are more committed than ever as a member of SEMA, a founding member of PRI, and a sponsor of multiple race teams across several racing series.
For over a decade, Fifth Third Bank has been a staunch supporter of our industry and a great partner for many companies in the motorsports field.
Our business has been growing extremely fast, and really we could not be where we are today without Fifth Third. They provided amazing strategic advice, the capital we need to support our phases of growth.
They are true partners for me now, and what they do with their involvement in motorsports is untouched in this community.
Where can we take your business? Fifth Third Bank.